Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has clarified the rationale for the date set for the 2027 general election, following stakeholder concerns over potential clashes with the national holidays. In a statement issued on February 13, 2026, the Commission said the timetable complies with the 1999 Constitution, the Electoral Act 2022, and INEC's regulation under current rules. Presidential and National Assembly elections are scheduled for Saturday, February 20th, 2027, while governorship and state houses of assembly elections will be held 2 weeks later on Saturday, March 6th, 2027. INEC acknowledged concerns over overlapping holidays and said consultations are ongoing. The Commission may seek legislative adjustments if necessary, assuring that any changes will remain constitutionally compliant and will support voter participation and credible elections. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has cleared 14 political parties for the August 8th governorship election in Osun State. But the People's Democratic Party and Labour Party are notably absent. A professor of politics and governance, Kenneth Nweke, joins us now to look at the controversy surrounding the 2027 election timetable. You're welcome.
Thank you, and good evening.
Good evening. All right, so the Independent National Electoral Commission has released the timetable for the 2027 elections. Now, with both the 1999 Constitution and the Electoral Act 2022 in mind, how well does this schedule reflect legal compliance, and what challenges could we see emerging from this?
Yeah, of course. I think that before INEC went ahead to announce the dates, relying on the ground norm, the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, and as amended, and the extant law, that's the Electoral Act 2022, taking also into consideration the proposed amendments or the ongoing amendments of the Electoral Act 2022. I think that INEC may be on the right path, taking into consideration all of those in announcing the dates for the 2027 general elections. And of course, for me, I don't think that I'm envisaging any challenges. The only challenge that I foresee is the issue of manual collation when network fails. So how do we determine when network fails? For me, that clause should be expunged entirely. It should be real-time because, after all, for you to do accreditation and all of those, you also need network. So how will network work for accreditation with the beavers, and then it will not work when you want to post? I don't know. And again, that is not visible as far as I'm concerned, because it's just like when you post any message to anyone, maybe when you are offline. Of course, when you get to a network area, you get that real time. And so for me, what is challenging is that clause, because at the end of the day, it may return to the era of when we have incident forms and all of those, because politicians like relying on anything that can give them a leverage. And so that should be expunged. And I see that as a major challenge, not the timetable at all. So not even the issue of the Ramadan, or no issue of the Christian fasting and prayer period, because of course the Lenten season for the Christians start on Wednesday, the Ash Wednesday and all that. And so, and previous elections, of course, have also been held about the same, period, and it didn't affect the turnout of voters. And so if that, all those elections in the past did not affect the turnout of voters, of course, what when you talk about voter apathy, it is not about the period when people are fasting or not fasting. It's about, attitudes of Nigeria. It's behavioral, because they feel that those who are elected have no business with them. And so they do not abide by the social contract that they usually enter into with the people. And so people have become so disillusioned so disinterested about governance and politics and all of those, and not the issue of fasting and prayer, period. So for me, like I said, the only challenge that we'll have is that caveat, because at the end of the day, so how do you determine when who determines when a network fails? And so let them also state it. Is it that when you post and then it fails, and there should be something, a record to show empirically that actually network failed and all of those?
Professor Kenneth, sorry to cut you off. So, of course, INEC is planning to hold the presidential and National Assembly elections on February 20th, followed by governorship and state assembly elections 2 weeks later. Now, what potential political and logistical effects could arise from this particular approach?
Of course, we've had the logistical problems with this. I don't think the issue of the staggered elections in 2 weeks is an issue. I don't think so. Yeah, or may have a logistical problem, so to say, except the ones that are already known. For instance, why should INEC leave the electoral officials or election officials, so to say, at the mercy of the political class? So let's take, for instance, on the day of election, the movement of materials are left in the hands of the officials who go there to sign materials. And so, of course, they'll get some offers. Sometimes, of course, buses are also chartered, made available for them. But sometimes the politicians offer to carry them. Even when they also carry them, drop them at their various polling units. So taking them back when they finish. And so they become very vulnerable to how they convey them back. So it's a logistical issue, so to say, to look at. Not about the timing or the period between, 2 weeks' time between the presidential election and the governorship election. So the presidential and national assembly elections, and then the state governorship and state assembly election. So for me, the issues of logistics or logistical problems, relate more on adequate deployment of a transportation system for electoral officials rather than leaving them vulnerable in the hands of politicians.
All right, thank you very much. That was Professor Kenneth Nweke, and he is a professor of politics and governance, taking a look at the upcoming 2027 general elections schedule.